Hey guys. Okay, I did a video last night, and that's when I noticed this mess. Yeah, it's bad. I'm taking care of it. Yesterday, after I did my videos, I listened to some music, got some exercise, and through ChatGPT, I found, ouch, a country song that I remembered. That I could not get the name of. Let me just put these away. Yeah, a second. There we go. It was called Don't Give Candy to a Stranger. And this is delicious. As you can see, I'm about halfway through. It's actually cherry limeade, but I don't taste the lime. I was worried about that. But, you know, because I'm not a fan of lime. I'd lots rather have lemon. Lemon. I have therapy today, so that's why I did one of my videos last night, which was the smothered pork chops in the crock pot. I let them sit overnight, sort of marinate in their smothery goodness, and I added a little more water today when I threw the carrots and potatoes in. So, I'll see that 6:30, 7:30 tonight. That's going to smell so outrageously good. This is my uncle, right over, no, not there, no, right there. This man in the uniform. This man in the uniform. And he inspired my other uncle to go in the Navy. I mean, he was going to get drafted anywho, so, but he knew he wanted to be in the Navy because his much older brother-in-law had been in the Navy, and he used to go visit his sister and brother-in-law wherever they were stationed, because he was a lifetime Navy man. Thank you for your service, Uncle Al, Uncle David, Grandpa. Yesterday was a day to remember the service of men like this who served their entire career. And men like my uncle who served 4 years on a boat in wartime. So, well, he'd hit me for a boat. He'd go, nothing hard. He'd just go, boat, battleship, ship. But you don't have to serve in wartime to serve your country. You know, and that's so important. Oh, and I apologize for my lip. That's awful. I had an allergic reaction. It's going to take some time. And it's super dry and crusty. But anyway. Yeah, so that's, I was actually sobbing when I finally got to hear it. A lot of emotions. From this, not just the song, but remembering my bus driver giving me the single, how long it took them to find the single. Excuse me, because the song actually came out in 88. We were listening to it in like 91, 92. So it was at least 3 years old. But we had a very local, small country music station, you know, in a little local country town. Um, where the DJs were local people that you knew, and one of them had the same last name as me, Wilson, and everybody knew him. Why can't I remember his first name? Anybody in music in the area knew him. And he won awards for, because they had awards for radio stations, for like small areas, small markets, medium markets, large markets, that kind of thing. He won for small markets. His was more like a micro market, because he wasn't in a city at all. He was in Webster, Massachusetts, the next town over from here, although it's a decent distance because you got to go through the woods. And yeah, it's not exactly next door, but it is next door in the sense that it's the next town. It's the next town that touches this town in another direction. There are towns that touch it in the direction we usually go, but this town touches it from another direction, and it's a little further away because it's kind of through the woods. And on to, I guess you really have to go on the highway, but it was a very small market radio station, and he used to win, Barry Wilson, and he used to win for small market, like I said, more like microscopic market, and that song used to get played on there, and everybody knew him, you know, even one of the handicapped girls on the bus knew him as Uncle Barry. Because everyone who had anything to do with music in this area knew him. And he had done music, you know, in bigger areas. So a lot of people knew him. He wasn't unknown, you know, even outside the area, which gave the channel a little more push. What is the name of the channel? Q100. Q100. And that's where we used to hear it. And ChatGPT said, well, a song like that didn't get a lot of regular radio play, which is why I can't find it on Spotify to add to my list, would have gotten play on a smaller regional local country radio station like Q100. So I remember when one of the radio stations, one of the country stations that we listened to, was changing their genre, and they had fired all the DJs. So on the last day that the DJs worked as a protest, they played Take This Job and Shove It by Johnny Paycheck on repeat because they were so furious that every DJ that came in that day played Take This Job and Shove It on repeat. And a lot of us listened to it for quite a while, just in support of those DJs that worked so hard and who literally would take our requests, who talked to us, who were people. Even though they were a big Boston station, they were our guys and gals. And to see them all get tossed to turn it into some other genre that wasn't anything anybody wanted to listen to was infuriating to them and infuriating to us. And they knew their listeners would appreciate a full day of Take This Job and Shove It. And that's what they did. They didn't work. They just put it on Pete and repeat. So that's kind of fun to remember. So that was an awesome station. I think these guys ended up going to a different channel number, some of them at least, because there were like 2 or 3 Boston country stations. But WBOS was the best. So they now have, I believe, a Worcester country station. And the Worcester station, when I was growing up, was not country. The Worcester station, although I think they did have a country station, most of the stations that you'll get here are Boston, for whatever reason. You will get a few Worcester stations. Not many anymore, because the Worcester station that was the most popular, particularly with the younger crowd, was WAAF, which was the rock and roll station. You know, hard rock, heavy metal, all that kind of stuff. And at some point, about somewhere in the last 10 years span, they switched it over to a Christian station. Like, say what? I mean, I have a Christian station I used to listen to on AM radio. Because that's where you find the Christian radio stations. There aren't too many on FM. There's one good one on FM that I know of, but a lot of them are on AM. And they changed it to a Christian station. I was like, okay, I like Christian music. However, the people who listened to your channel aren't going to listen to your channel, because they were there for the Poison, the Motley Crue, the Ozzy, the Guns N' Roses, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's the wrong crowd to be switching over like that. It's just like when the country station switched over to, I think they switched over to classical or something, and they told them to Take This Job and Shove It on Pete and repeat. And all day long that last day. And they said they were going to do it. A couple days before that they were done, they all said on their shows that that's what they were going to do that last day, for them and for us. And they did it. And what could the programmers do? It was their last day. Couldn't fire them. So, yeah, I can't imagine the DJs at WAAF were too pleased either when they got switched over to, I believe it was Christian music, and then country station became classical, I do believe, or something like that. Totally not country, but anyway. Now, in case you're wondering what a small market, medium market, and a large market actually is in radio, the best way that I can explain it is a small market is like Q100. It's a micro market, but you know what I mean. Basically played to the Blackstone Valley. They had a pretty good antenna. They actually upgraded it at one point, so they did end up going into a slightly wider area, but it was still a very small market. So that's small market. Medium market would be Boston. Worcester is still considered small market, even though it's way bigger than Webster. It's still considered small market in the radio world. Medium market is like Boston, which you would think of as a large market, because it pretty much plays to the entire well, most of the entire state and beyond a little bit. Like you can still get your Boston station in Rhode Island, you know, the top of most of Rhode Island, Connecticut, the top of Connecticut, and the bottom of like New Hampshire. You can get the Boston stations pretty much. So it's a medium market. New York City is a large market. Houston is a large market. Dallas, those big markets. So even though Boston's the largest city in New England, it's still not considered a large market. Radio-wise, it's considered a medium market. So, but small markets are Worcester, Webster, which is micro, like I said. I think the Webster channel, after they updated their antenna, which they had to do, I think, well, we always listened to them. That was my station growing up. Trying to think, and we had WBOS out of Boston, of course, and we had another country channel out of Boston, but Q100, before I think they went bye-bye, actually, trying to think, upgraded their antenna, and you were able to get them, I mean, we were always able to get them here, they're right next door, but you were able to get them further out. And having a country radio station in Webster was crucial back in the day, because they had what was called the Indian Ranch, which was an outside country music venue. They do all kinds of music there now, but it was a country music venue back in the day. And they had Bret Michaels there, which Bret loves country. Bret has done country albums. It's something that he wanted to get into once he was able to be a soloist, and so solo artist. So that's not entirely unusual for Indian Ranch, but, and they had Dr. Hook there, which is sort of a country rock thing, but for the most part, back in the 70s and the early 80s when I went, it was pure country. It was Conway, Loretta, Donna Fargo, Ferlin Husky. It was country. So, and having that radio station there that gave away tickets and, you know, worked with the venue, and to have a partnership with a radio station was critical back then. Not so much now, because it's so mainstream, and so many mainstream artists who aren't necessarily country go there. It's not as critical that you have a country station there. Like back then, they sort of survived off each other. It was a symbiotic relationship, you know? Let me see something. I'm going to look up Q100 Country Radio. Okay, let's see what we got. WQVR. Okay. In 1979, the station's call letters were changed to WQVR, and before long it had become country station Q100. So from 1979 to 1999, pretty much my entire, literally, basically my entire childhood and half my adult life. Because you figure 79 I was 5, 99 was 20 years later, I was 25. So station still exists as classic rock. New call letters, new management, the whole bit, but it still exists, which is amazing. And that's all I wanted to check for you guys. Q100, 100.1. WQVR. I got a text message. That was probably, gee, thank you for doing your blood pressure today. Oh no, that's Ipsy. Choice is live. Okay, gotta look at Choice for Ipsy. So, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I know this was a long one, but it was a fun one. Going down memory lane. Oh, I couldn't believe he found my song. I was so excited. But yeah, he said that's the kind of country song that would have played in small markets. Like that. That didn't get a lot of big play. I'm so happy. That's another reason it took him a while to find the single. I'm getting to play it for my mom. Song I had been running around singing, and she'd been looking at me because she hadn't heard the song, which I'm surprised because we listened to Q100. In fact, I have memories surrounding that channel. Like I said, the DJ Barry Wilson was known to everyone. I knew him when I was little. I don't remember him per se, but I definitely knew him when I was little. Everybody did. Because he was a local boy who had done bigger radio, but this was his baby. And he also did a lot of hosting of shows in the area and stuff like that. I think he hosted shows at Indian Ranch too. But my parents knew him. Everybody knew him. And so I think he's passed on. Anyway, I'm pretty sure. Barry Wilson, WQVR, hold on. Oh, okay, no, he is still alive. Here he is on Facebook, DJ Barry Wilson. Oh, I'm following him. Duh. New England-based music historian and DJ. And everybody I know follows him. He went to Nichols College right in town. Well, not in this town, in the town. Oh, he's still got a DJ gig. He's doing Groover's Paradise, a weekly radio show, and he's got Dr. Hook this week in memory of Don LeCourrier. Dennis LeCourrier. Okay. The lead singer of Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. Who passed away about a week ago. So that stunk. But anyway, so now two of them are gone. The gentleman with the eye patch, who was the other singer, had passed away at 80. So Dennis was in his 70s. But yeah, sad. It makes me feel old. But I watched a really nice tribute to him on YouTube, so. But yeah, Barry's quite a music historian. I'm glad he's still around. Glad he's still in radio. The man's an award-winning DJ. Should be doing that the rest of his life. So, although he could retire, he's quite old enough. Sorry, Barry, but you are. I know you're about the same age my father and Bob. Anyway, which would make him in his early 80s. So yeah, nice to go down memory lane with you guys. And it'll be nice to have this video to watch and remember. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.